You ever have one of those mornings where you're just praying nothing else goes wrong? That was me, Ethan Clark, rolling into the hospital parking lot in downtown Chicago, dead on 7 a.m., my only dress shirt a little wrinkled, shoes 2 years past their prime, but somehow feeling this tiny spark of hope. I had a job interview, and after nearly a year of scraping by with odd gigs to keep my daughter Maddie fed, this felt like it could be the turning point, you know? I was early for once, even took a second to breathe before locking up my old sedan, and then, bam, life does what it does. Loud thud behind me, like the world just dropped an anvil outside the ER doors. I turn and see this boy, maybe Maddie's age, 9 or 10, just crumpled there on the concrete, alone, and I swear time slowed down, because people were just walking around him like he was invisible. Some stared, some hesitated, but no one did a damn thing. That's the part one can't shake. Without thinking, I ran. Dropped right down next to him, palms sweating, trying to remember what you're supposed to do in these moments, check pulse, call out, anything. Hey, buddy, can you hear me? My voice cracked, panic clawing at my throat, because for a second, I thought this was it. And his face, it reminded me so much of my daughter. I felt it in my chest. Pulse was weak, skin cold. I yelled toward the hospital, I need a doctor, right now. But it's like no one heard me. So I did the only thing I could think of, scooped the kid up, lighter than you'd imagine, and ran into the ER, bursting through those sliding doors like some bad action movie. Nurses and a trauma doc rushed over, took him from my arms in a blur of blue scrubs and anxious voices, disappearing behind double doors. I just stood there, heart pounding, hand shaking so bad I nearly dropped my phone. I sank into one of those plastic waiting room chairs, staring at my phone, interview in 40 minutes, and every instinct in me said to get up, run, save your own skin. But there was no way I was leaving, not after seeing that. An hour crawled by. 2. I kept replaying it in my head. What if he doesn't make it? What if I was too slow until finally, a nurse comes over? You're the man who brought in the boy? I nod, not trusting my voice. She says, he's stable now. His name is Leo. He has type 1 diabetes. He hadn't had insulin in over 24 hours. You saved his life. I exhaled so hard I almost laughed. Do you know his family? Any way we can reach them? She asks. I shake my head. I'm just a guy who saw a kid collapse. That's it. That's when this man comes barreling through the ER entrance, expensive coat, a couple of assistants trailing behind. Silver hair, wild eyes. Where is my son? Where's Leo? The nurse leads him off, and I'm left wondering who the hell that was. I get up to go, but the nurse stops me. Wait here. He might want to talk to you. A few minutes later, the man comes back, still shaking, but his eyes are different, softer, grateful, maybe. He holds out his hand. I'm Daniel Brooks. It takes a second, but the name lands, Brooks Tech, one of the biggest tech companies in the country. I feel my knees go a little weak. You're the one who brought in my son, he says, voice thick. I just shrug. I did what anyone should have done. He looks me up and down, wrinkled shirt, no tie, shoes that probably gave away my whole story. You're a good man, he says. I want to do something for you. I laugh, awkward, because what do you say to that? No, really, I'm fine. Just glad your son's okay. He smiles. Do you code? I almost laugh. I used to, before life happened. Come see me Monday morning. I mean it. He leaves me with that and walks away, but something in his voice makes me believe he's not joking. 3 days later, I walk into Brooks Tech's towering headquarters, stomach doing backflips, half expecting this to be some weird dream. But Daniel meets me himself, shakes my hand, and introduces me to his team. They offer me a job, junior developer, benefits, steady paycheck, and, out of nowhere, a scholarship fund for Maddie. I'm not sure which one hit harder. Months pass. I'm learning again. Maddie's thriving, and every so often Daniel and I grab coffee, swapping stories about being single dads, about the weird things kids say, about how the world can turn on a dime. Maddie and Leo become fast friends, both of them with this strange kind of bond, like survivors of some little storm the rest of the world never noticed. You know what I mean? It's wild how 1 second, you're just another tired face in a crowd, and the next, you're pulled into someone else's story Your whole life bending around one split-second decision. People ask me sometimes if I think fate's real, or if I ever wonder what would have happened if I just walked away that morning. I don't have a good answer. Maybe we all just hope we'll do the right thing when it counts, that if the world gives us a test, we'll pass, not for the reward, but because it's the only thing that lets us sleep at night. The funny part? I missed that job interview, the one I thought would save us. But in skipping it, I found something better, not just a job, but a reminder that kindness is its own reward, that being a decent human, even when nobody's watching, can change more than just your own life. Sometimes all it takes is one moment, one ordinary person running toward trouble instead of away, and suddenly two families who never would have crossed paths find themselves tangled together. The world a little less cold. I know not everyone gets a happy ending. Maybe that's what makes moments like these stick with us. Sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you're the one who gets to save somebody else's kid, and sometimes, if you're really lucky, someone's there to catch yours when she falls. Maybe that's all we can hope for, to be there for each other, even when it's not convenient, even when nobody's watching. So what do you think? In a world full of strangers, do you believe a single act of kindness can really ripple out and change everything? Or is that just a fairy tale we tell ourselves to sleep at night? I'd love to hear your take, whether you think I did the right thing, or if you'd have done something different. Drop a comment. Let's talk about what justice means to you, and whether you think the world is made better by moments like this, or if, deep down, it's every man for himself. Sometimes I look back on that day and wonder what would have happened if I'd just kept walking, if I'd let fear or doubt hold me back, if I'd missed out on a new life just because I was too busy worrying about the old one. But here's the thing people don't talk about. What happens after you're the hero? Does life really get easier? Does the world pat you on the back? Or do things get even more complicated? A few weeks after I started at Brooks Tech, the whole hospital rescue story made its way around the office. At first, it was just a handful of people pulling me aside, shaking my hand, saying things like, "Heard what you did. Man, that's incredible." But as word spread, it grew legs. One morning, I walked into the break room and saw my own face on a local news site, headline blaring. "Single dad saves CEO's son." Comments were everywhere, most folks saying it restored their faith in humanity. But, some people never miss a chance to twist a good thing. A few called me an opportunist, accused me of staging the whole thing for attention or a job. Yeah, that happened. It stung more than I wanted to admit. Maddie caught wind of the story too. She's 10, smarter than I ever was at that age. One night, she looked up from her homework and asked, "Dad, does helping someone always make things better? Or does it just make you a target?" I didn't have a quick answer. How do you explain to your kid that doing the right thing doesn't always win you a trophy? Sometimes, it just paints a bigger bullseye on your back. One afternoon, a new character entered our lives. Her name was Jasmine, a nurse at the hospital who'd seen the whole thing. She showed up at Brooks Tech with a tray of cookies for Maddie and a shy smile for me. She said she'd never forgotten the way people just walked by that morning. "You don't see that kind of courage every day," she said, almost whispering, like she was afraid someone might hear. Turns out, Jasmine had her own story. She'd once hesitated to help someone in need and lost sleep over it for years. She told Maddie, "Your dad's not a hero because he saved Leo. He's a hero because he showed up when no one else did." That stuck with Maddie. Honestly, it stuck with me too. But let me back up a sec. Things at work weren't as smooth as you might think. Some folks treated me like a charity case, whispering about the boss's new project, like I was just some PR move. Others went out of their way to make me feel welcome. There was Ben, an old-school developer, Vietnam vet, who pulled me aside one evening and said, "Don't let them get to you." This place needed a reminder that not all code is written in an office. Sometimes it's the heart that counts. He slapped me on the back so hard I nearly dropped my coffee. Ben and I became close. He taught me as much about life as he did about coding. And every now and then he'd slip in stories about people he'd seen do the right thing at the worst times, like it was all a test of character. Life outside the office changed, too. Maddie and Leo grew inseparable dragging me and Daniel into all sorts of dad duties, school projects, weekend soccer games, even one totally chaotic birthday party where Jasmine brought her famous triple chocolate cake and Ben showed up with a magic trick that blew every kid's mind. For the first time in a long while, I felt like I belonged somewhere, like maybe I wasn't just passing through life on the edge. But then, as all stories go, things took a turn. Daniel got wind of some internal drama, a rumor that I'd only been hired out of guilt, that the company's board was unhappy about the publicity, that I might lose my job if things didn't cool down. For a week, I barely slept, terrified that I'd finally built something just to watch it all slip away. Maddie saw the worry, but it was Jasmine who finally snapped me out of it. Over coffee, she looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You didn't get here by luck, Ethan. You earned it. The world can try to twist your story, but only you get to decide what comes next. That's the real twist, isn't it? The world doesn't always reward kindness with comfort. Sometimes it challenges you to defend it, to live up to your own story every single day. And the truth is, I'm still figuring it out. But I know this, the act that started everything, running to help a stranger, missing out on a once-in-a-lifetime interview, risking the little security I had, gave me a shot at something I didn't know I needed. A second chance not just at work, but at being a better dad, a better friend, and maybe even a better man. So here's where I leave it. Not with some grand victory or simple answer. Some folks still think I just got lucky. Some see a hero. Some see a fool. But every time I see Maddie laughing with Leo, or hear Ben telling his wild stories, or get a call from Jasmine just to check in, I'm reminded that the best stories aren't about being perfect. They're about showing up, even when it's hard, even when people doubt you, even when the world says you're just another face in the crowd. Maybe that's what justice really means. Not the headlines, not the praise, but the quiet moments when you choose to help, knowing you might never be thanked, knowing you might even pay a price, but doing it anyway. So what would you have done? Would you have stopped? Would you risk your own shot at happiness for someone you'd never meet again? Tell me, is the world better when we look out for each other, or does it just set us up to get hurt? Go ahead, share your take in the comments. Do you think justice is about doing what's right, even when nobody's watching? Or is it about survival, reputation, and staying safe? I'm here for the debate. And who knows, maybe the next twist in this story is yours.